Okay, so folks, I've got with me a very interesting individual. His name is Danny Sinoff, and he's a pinnacle of a jazz crooner or a jazz man, period. So, Danny, I discovered you through Spotify, and I decided to go down the rabbit hole. And apparently, you're an educator as well as a lyricist, composer, pianist, and an incredible
Well,
singer.
th- thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate you finding me over there too. I don't know how much of an educator I am. Maybe to some, not formally. I mean, I'm still being educated. In my mind, I'm still learning. You know, but yeah, sing, play. I love the American Songbook, and I've been doing it for a long, long time.
So, when did you actually discover that you had an interest or a penchant towards jazz?
Well, I got my first gig at 13 playing classical piano at the Wednesday night buffet at the clubs where I lived in Florida. But we moved from Newton, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, actually, right before I turned 11. And you know, I was actually adopted and raised by my grandparents, so they were a little older to have a son my age. And fortunately for me, though, I was around some really great music. And I was doing all classical piano, and then my dad he shared a Bobby Darin compilation CD with me and a couple of Harry Connick Jr. records, and that was it for me. I mean, I was already around the music. My mom really wanted me to be a classical pianist, and my dad was the one that pushed more of the other stuff on me. But as soon as I saw Harry Connick Jr. on Saturday Night Live, whatever year that was, it was on a VHS tape that my dad had that I dug out of the cabinet, and I saw him do that, and I was hooked forever after that. It's when I figured out that that's what I wanted to do. So I sat down, and I started trying to play some of these things. I found a fake book in the piano bench at home, and I found the St. Louis Blues was one of the things that I picked out of that, and that was the first thing I remember playing at this Wednesday night buffet for 2 hours. They had a buffet at the clubhouse in the neighborhood where I grew up in Florida, actually,
Okay.
where we moved. And I remember playing St. Louis Blues probably 4 or 5 times that night, along with the few classical things I was playing. And that's where it started. And then I started trying to play and sing like Harry was doing. And I became very obsessed with all those recordings. And that's when I knew, you know, maybe I could do this. And I love to do it. So
Sweet. So, you had singles, but the one thing that caught my eye was that you released a record with a
yes.
lot of with a lot of songs. Mostly, if I'm not mistaken, it's mostly covers, right?
Yeah, they're all from the American Songbook. They're all jazz standards. They're all yeah, cover. Yeah, they're covers. You can call them covers, sure.
Okay. So, when did you actually go into the studio to record this?
We recorded that in let's see, it was May. Actually, you know what's funny? It was exactly a year ago today.
Oh,
It was
really?
May. It was May 6th, 2025, and then we also did a thing. I did a thing with Benny Benack. We did that duet on June 4th, I think, last year.
Okay.
So yeah, that was in New Jersey, in Paramus, New Jersey, at Trading Eights Studios.
Nice. Apart from yourself, who was your bandmates for the record?
Well, it was produced by the great drummer Ulysses Owens Jr. He plays drums on all of it.
Nice.
Ben Wolf on bass,
Uh
who was Harry Connick Jr.'s. That was his original bass player and a friend of mine too. So full circle. Ben Wolf, Dan Wilson on the guitar.
huh. Mm-hmm.
When the great Jerry Weldon plays on a track, he's still to this day he's Harry Connick's main tenor guy for over 35 years or something.
Wow.
He's on it. Joe Magnarelli on trumpet. Benny Benack on trumpet and vocals. We did a great duet. He wrote a vocalese for me, for him and I as a duet. And then the great Tyler Henderson, a very great young pianist, is also on there, surprisingly enough. My producer, Ulysses, had suggested that I get out from behind the piano for a few things and just sing. So we brought in Tyler, and it really made for a whole nother element in the album. And it was a lot of fun, and it came out really, really well. So those are the guys on the album.
And it dropped fairly recently. Didn't it drop this year?
April 10th.
Yeah.
The two singles came out, in the months prior to that, along with the holiday singles that I actually released myself. I
Uh-huh.
think those might have been the first things you heard. But the album came out April 10th, so it's out everywhere. It's for sale. It's streaming everywhere, as you know.
Did you decide to actually do any vinyl pressings, perchance?
There's vinyl coming. Yeah, I just proofed it the other day. I proofed the artwork a couple days ago.
Nice.
So vinyl's on the way.
Okay, so the I know that it's got you lounging on the couch for the Spotify version. Is it going to be different from the vinyl pressing art?
The cover art is the same.
Okay.
The cover art's the same. It's just bigger. You can see it better. It's
So,
more colorful looking. Yeah.
Right now, folks, you have to take into consideration that he's a human being, so he's relaxing. But on the album, he's lounging around in a beautiful suit, good look. But even better are the singing parts of the album. Now, how did you manage to actually get yourself into such a quality of singing? Because I know that you either have a voice, have no voice and go through with training, or you simply don't have it and you're doing it until you fake it till you make it type of situation.
Yeah, well, I started trying to sing, like I said, when I heard those Harry Connick records. It's really when I started trying to sing and play the piano. And I just started copying what he was doing, and I sang along to all the albums, and I sang along to a lot of Sinatra albums, too. I don't know about Fake It Till You Make It. Maybe it was a little bit of that in the beginning, but I was just copying what I was hearing on the albums and copying what I was seeing in the performances, mannerisms and, like, how you carry yourself, hold your body, whatever. And my voice has changed through the years. I've heard stuff from not that long ago where I was doing something very different with my voice for whatever reason. But recently I've really sort of had a transformation. I was working with Susie Reynolds, who was Freddie Cole's manager for about 10 or 11 years. The late great Freddie Cole, who's Nat Cole's younger brother, I believe younger. And she was his manager. Anyway, she's a fantastic singing coach or teacher, and we worked on some phrasing things, as well as some physical singing things. And she really helped me find my true voice, like free of any sort of. I mean, of course I have influences, but she really helped me find my true voice, along with Rita Harvey, who's another singer who's been on Broadway, and she's in New York. I had been studying a little bit of voice with her for the last couple of years, and that was also very transformational for me, and has really sort of informed what you're hearing on the album too. I mean, you're hearing what I've been doing for years, but you're also hearing me really come into my true singing voice, and something I was very excited about. When I heard myself sing some of these things, I said, that's the way I've been wanting to. I've been trying to find this, and these two people have helped me kind of reach that, So that's in a nutshell, I suppose.
The blessings of having establishments nowadays that have policies on smoking banned from the locations, it actually gives you fair amount of breathing room, so to speak.
For lack of a better word.
So apart from the album, and you're coming about and learning piano and learning to sing based on idols that you actually wanted to be part of. Do you have time for hobbies? Because I know that you're a musician first and foremost, and a singer mostly. So you must go around doing gigs or doing what's it called? Yeah, basically doing gigs in bars or restaurants or.
Here in Florida, I've been working for 25 years. In all of the restaurants and supper clubs. I do a lot of these venues down here. They're restaurants that have music. They're not necessarily jazz clubs or music. They're music venues, I suppose. And I've done that for many, many years. Some of them closer to jazz clubs than others, in the way their music is presented.
Okay.
But I've been, 5, 6, 7 nights a week sometimes. I've been very fortunate and been very successful and built a huge following down here. And just recently now I've begun to travel to New York a lot more. In Philadelphia, I just got back from Las Vegas. I'll be going out there again. I'll be out in Tucson this summer. So things are starting to open up a little bit. But really, if I'm not on the road and if I'm not here playing, especially in season down here full time,
Yeah.
I'm practicing or I'm listening, or it's some sort of thing like this or email, or there's always something it never ends. There's always something going on that's towards the career. There's not a whole lot of room to do extracurricular things, but that's okay because I live a musical life, you know. That's the way it is. But I see this is Cigars and Whiskey, is that right? So
yeah, well, cigar singular and whiskey is that's
okay.
Because the original title of the show when I started 30 years ago was Touches of Color.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the punch of Cigar and Whiskey, which one of the announcers for the radio station decided to actually do it because he found that it was more punchy. It had that grab, so I decided to go with it. And everything that I do nowadays, this is not for the radio station, but because Cigar and Whiskey is my owned title after claiming it, I just use it for everything that I do.
Well, I was gonna say because you know, if I do have some time, I definitely go for a good cigar. I don't do the whiskey anymore, but I will go for a good cigar. You know, so
I'll go for the whiskey before.
Say again.
I go for the whiskey more than the cigar.
But I smoked cigarettes for 23 years. I quit in 2018. Thank God. Yeah, I smoked a long time. So, but to me, cigar and a cigarette, very different things, but either one could definitely make you sick, especially a cigar if you inhale a cigar.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Usually it's the taste, I think, from what I've been told by aficionados. You don't inhale it, you just...
You know, they're strong, you know, there's nicotine-wise, there's a lot of nicotine, you know, to inhale that is... It's not the same as a cigarette. They put a filter on it. Anyways, we don't need to talk about cigars and cigarettes.
So
if I had some extra time, I might smoke a cigar. Enjoy Florida. I love outside. It's the weather's nice and
which part of
just
Florida?
Try to relax in between, you know.
Yeah.
In between all the other things.
Which part of Florida are you in right now?
I live in Fort Myers, so
okay.
Fort Myers in Naples. It's Southwest Florida. It's on the Gulf Coast. So Naples is essentially directly across from Miami on the other coast. So I'm kind of over here.
You know, there's I know Florida a little bit more because I had the chance to go and visit my parents. They're snowbirds. So
yeah, I know all about that.
Yeah, and while I was there, I was in my heyday of doing swing dancing. And the swing dancing community loves jazz, especially the one that has beat, not just slow crooning and whatnot. So you could possibly give them a taste of Danny Sinoff sings the hits.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. The only place I know is the old.
Where is that again? Did you say?
That I can't remember. It's towards Tampa, but there's an old casino that was rebuilt into a multifunction dance hall.
Okay.
I think it's called the Gulfport Casino.
I may have heard of that.
Yeah.
I know about Gulfport. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically it's a huge venue. I had the chance to listen to a band which I unfortunately don't remember the name of the band anymore, but they played live music and people went there and danced whatever they felt like dancing, be it ballroom or American style ballroom where you don't knock out anyone while doing your moves, or swing dancing. So
that's what this music's all about, you know. All this music was made. It began for people to dance to. That's the most important. One of the most important things about it.
Yeah.
You know, it was made. It was dance music of the time.
Well, basically your album is well put together because all the tunes are all tunes I've heard before, but not in the voice that you do it so well. So
Thank you. Yeah.
it was a treasure to actually find. Like, you know how it is. You go on a streaming platform and you suddenly are recommended because of your tastes this
Yeah.
type of album, and I went, Danny Sinoff. Okay, let's.
So it just popped up, huh? That's
It
fantastic.
well, it popped up as a recommendation. I think it was under the radar release
Hmm.
section,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the new ones come out. And then one of the tunes came on. I decided, okay, go see album. Okay, saw the album. Go see the artist. Here's his write down. Let's go on Google and go find Danny. And
Thank
then
you
I
for
decided to
that.
send you that email.
Thank you for that. No, it's great. It's great.
So, with everything said and done, I'm assuming that you already started planning your release party for the album.
So I did one. We did one release show. Benny Benack the third. I don't know if you know who that is. He's
Oh,
on the
I
album, but
I
you
do.
know. Yeah, we talked about.
I interviewed him. He was in my first roster of interviewees.
Of course, you know him. So he had a show at Barretto in New York a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and he was very gracious to sort of let me, um, you know, hijack his gig, and he let me kind of use that as my album release in New York, with some great music. And my good friend Aaron Kimmel was on the drums, and Alex Claffey on the bass, and Benny and myself. There was a bunch of special guests, but I played some things from the album, and he really promoted the album for me on that show.
Nice.
So that happened, and then this week on Tuesday is my official album release concert here in Florida, and that is at the Tribby Arts Center here in Fort Myers.
Okay.
Dan Wilson's flying down to play guitar. Ulysses Owens is driving in, I think, from Jacksonville to. He might be coming from New York to play the drums. Benny's coming down to play on the concert. Ben Wolf's coming down. That's on Tuesday, so I'll be playing pretty much the whole album live with a couple of other things, and it's going to be a great time. So if you want to get tickets, by the way, for anybody, it's TribbyArtsCenter.com. That's TRIBBY, TribbyArtsCenter.com, and just go to the box office.
Okay.
You find them. If you're in Fort Myers, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to do the edit for this particular interview quick, so we can actually put it on the web.
Thank you.
Last question would be simply something a little bit off kilter, but I've been asking it for the last few years. What's your favorite food dish? Now, hold on. When I mean that, I mean if you went to a buffet of different food types, but the food that you actually enjoyed was present and you'd go for it first, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't know. It depends what I'm feeling that day, right? My food I mean, I love Italian food, you know. But my favorite food.
Is there a specific dish?
Man, I don't even know my dishes. And you know what I had? You know what I had the other day that was really great was the spicy rigatoni. We went to this place. We were in Las Vegas and we went to Carbone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the best Italian in the country, I think. And we had this the spicy rigatoni was fantastic. What I like about Italian food is that it's supposed to be, it's very simple, you know, but it's so good. But it's very simple, I think, with a few flavors that they put, you know. But my favorite, I mean, I remember growing up, I used to love veal parmesan. That was like when I was a kid, that was like any restaurant my parents went out, I would get the veal parmesan. You know, that's always a go-to for me.
Yeah, for me it's chicken parmesan, but
chicken veal, yeah,
But I'm more of a home cook type of guy when I get a chance to actually sit down and cook. Well, sit down, stand up and cook. But
I get it.
I've got my own dishes from my grandmother that I decided to redo in my own style. It's the name in French is patate au nard, which loosely translated means foxy potatoes, but it's a beef stew.
You never go wrong with that.
No, well, it's a beef stew, but it's done where you take your potatoes, take your carrots, take your turnip or whatever it is that you use, because there's turnip and it looks like a turnip, but it's rutabaga. So depending on what you use, and then you throw in your beef. You can add a little bit of flour when you're coating them and throwing them in, and then you brown them, and then you can add stock, and then you add whatever flavors that you want. I always add a bit of garlic and salt, pepper, Worcestershire, but the technique my grandmother used was to slightly overboil the potatoes to the point that they'd release more starch. It would thicken up the stew to a point that you could plant a spoon and it would stay straight.
That's amazing. Oh, I bet it was good.
It was, and there's in Madawaska County. If you look at Maine, we're just right next to it, and in northwest New Brunswick, there's a flatbread that we make called ploy in French, which would translate to loosely to buckwheat pancake, but it's not a pancake. It's not thick, it's thin. And then we'd eat it with butter. Myself, it's maple syrup. Some would actually use blackstrap molasses. So pairs
good.
Well, it pairs well with it. So that's my favorite dish. Whenever it's presented, well, whenever I make it, I enjoy it very well. It doesn't last very long. So,
you know what else I really like is I really, really like a good ravioli.
Oh, they're hard.
Like a really good ravioli, even with just cheese, man. Oh.
They're hard to come by. I had the chance to actually meet an Italian family that was setting up a cafe where I work on my normal days. It was called Cafe Carboni, and the husband was an apprentice chef. The wife was an apprentice pâtissière. She could make profiteroles like you wouldn't believe. But I tried my first risotto and my first real ravioli from that particular location. Sadly, they're no longer in Moncton. They decided to move to Montreal so that the wife could finish her career as a sommelier or a wine connoisseur.
Sure.
So there you go, folks. My favorite dish is patate au nord, and his favorite dish is either a good ravioli or a spicy risotto. No,
the spicy
rigatoni. There we go. So Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to actually come to this interview. It was an absolute pleasure to actually get to see you and hear you in person.
Thank you for finding me. I think it's so fantastic. I'm so happy about that. Really.
Well, I hope to see you one of these days, but otherwise, until then, I'll keep my ear down to the ground so that any new releases that decide to come out, I'll be glad to listen to them as well.
Thank you. Pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Have a nice evening.
You too. Thanks.